Alright guys, I'm going to show you this pond that I'm working on restoring or renovating, whatever you want to call it. Used to, all of this was woods. I mean, this all looked like that backside back there. All this fresh dirt that you see. I was able to get a little mini excavator with a thumb on it. I pulled up most of these trees and cleared this out. The reason I've decided to go ahead and drain the thing was all that green that you're seeing in there. It's not algae, it's duckweed. And this duckweed was like extremely thick. I mean, it was like 3 inches thick, super thick. Couldn't really fish in it, which turns out there's no fish in there anyways. I don't know if you've seen the other video I posted about the bluegill tank, but I kind of talked about that. I built the tank to put some of the fish in. I was going to keep the bluegill in there, and if I had any bass or whatnot, I was going to transport to another pond on my buddy of mine's property. Turns out there's nothing in here. But this duckweed here that you see covered this entire pond. And it was extremely thick. All of it was just like that center right there. That's actually all that's left. The water just kind of loops around here, and that ladder is holding my sump pump off the bottom, so I'm not sucking up a bunch of mud, and I'm running it over this dam and letting it drain out there. But I tried a few different things, but before, like I said, all this was wooded. So about the only place that you could get to the pond was, like right here, this little section was cleared out. And I'd actually done that by hand, which took me a good little bit, but that was the only place that you could get to the pond. So first thing I tried to do was I tried to scoop out most of the duckweed with a net and a canoe, which you can imagine that it didn't work too well. Actually, once I was finished with it, you could actually see the water. I put a pretty good little bit in the center. You could actually see the water. It wasn't just blanketed with duckweed. But like a week later, it all covered it, filled itself back in, so it did absolutely nothing. Second thing I tried to do was I bought some herbicide for pond that was recommended to me that should have killed it. So I went out in the canoe again, sprayed everything, sprayed the entire top of the pond, used up all of it. Basically all it did was it kind of turned the top of the duckweed brown, and it killed the top of it. That sunk down to the bottom, and new stuff was pretty much immediately back up to the top, and it was covered again. You couldn't see it. Next thing I tried was I had bought that right there is a 2-inch septic / trash pump. Should be able to move solids up to 2 inches through there. I thought maybe I could filter out the duckweed, so I tried that, and I let the pump run for 2 days solid on some screens and stuff that I had set up, and all it did was get me a massive pile of duckweed on the bank that I had to do something with, and you still couldn't tell any of the duckweed had got out of the pond. It was still completely solid out there. You couldn't see anything, couldn't see any of the water. So I just decided to drain it. And like I said before, there was no fish in there. Here's my pole, I tried to fish just to see if I could catch anything out of there, which I was not able to catch a single fish. And I've not seen a single fish out of this whole thing. I read online that sometimes the duckweed, when it gets like this, it kind of suffocates the water. Will kill out your fish. I believe that's what happened. So my intentions with it is I want to, after I get the tractor fixed, hopefully tomorrow, I'll pull out all of these trees, and there's my kayak for moving the pump, but all these tree limbs that has rotted and fallen off into the pond from when all this was wooded. I'll clear all that out. I'm gonna dig the center out a little bit, make it a little bit deeper, maybe 7.5 foot. I'd like to get it down to like maybe 9 in its deepest point there in the center. And all this right here, I'm gonna cut out some of this bank to make the sides a little steeper, so it's not super shallow. And same thing over here. I'll have a little bit of a taper over here for when I, if I ever want to put a kayak or whatever in the pond. And then I'll pretty much dig it out like that, because this is the pond, this is the water line. all the way back here. But from here to about that tree right there, you can see maybe a foot at most, 6 inches to a foot, depending on time of the year. And then, you know, maybe a foot and a half here, and then it kind of sinks down real good into 7 foot down here in the middle. But I want to cut a lot of this out because it's so shallow all the way around this. It's like a foot deep. Almost half the pond is super shallow. So intentions are to cut all that out, build a dam back there a little bit more. Property line's actually on the other side of that wood line right there, and there's no dam back there, so the water, once the pond fills up all the way, the water just kind of mingles back there. So I'm going to try to cut that out and build it up with a dam and see how it goes from there. So I don't have any picture. I mean, I have some pictures. I didn't take any video of what all of this looked like beforehand, before we started the work, but I do have some pictures. This is actually on my second YouTube video, so I apologize. It's low quality. I'm just using my phone. I'll post pictures at the end of this video so you can kind of see what all we've done. It still looks pretty grown up around here, but this is a whole lot more open than what it used to be. Just to give you an idea of what we've done, this right here is the pile that I'll eventually have to burn that we've piled up. And we did all this in 2 days with this tractor or excavator. It's a pretty massive pile there. Also did some fence clearing and also cleared it out back here a little bit. So I need to get in here and brush hog and push all these down, cut those down with the chainsaw, the ones that I can't push down, and cut with a brush hog, get it all cleaned out. And then once I do that, I'm trying to get a load of brick that I can use to build structure in the pond. A buddy of mine has been tearing down a house, so he's supposed to gather up all that brick and compile it up here for me. And I'm going to make a basically like a brick or rock bed out here, and then I'll put some PVC structures throughout the pond here just to give the fish something else to do, because it's a pretty small pond. And that's the goal. Like I said, there'll be pictures of what it looked like before and kind of during the work at the end of this video, and I'll keep you posted on how it goes.